Welcome back to the ECAR podcast. Today we're talking about advocacy, what the Realtor organization is actually fighting for, what's winning, and what you can do about it. My name is Amanda Girouard. I am a Realtor at Century 21 Shutters and Sales, a broker associate, and I lead the Gold Anchor team. Here at ECAR, I am a member of the board of directors and the chair of the advocacy committee for this year. I got into advocacy because what I realized is that the problems that my clients were facing weren't just market problems. They were problems created through policies that were put into place years ago. And as realtors, we see every day how affordability challenges and low inventory, rising costs are affecting the people that we serve and changing the communities that we live in. And what I came to realize is that if realtors don't have a seat at the table, that somebody else is in that at that table in our place. And the decisions are still going to get made and the policies are still going to get put into place. And what I decided was that I couldn't sit and watch that happen anymore. And I had to get involved in helping create solutions rather than reacting to the problems.
And I'm Carol Christiansen. I am the broker owner of RE/MAX Realty Group in Gales Ferry. I'm also on the advocacy committee with Amanda at ECAR. I am the divisional vice president of legislative affairs at the Connecticut Association of Realtors. And I've also been on advocacy committees at NAR for about the last 8 or 9 years. So I got into advocacy because I think one of the most important things about our business is protecting private property rights. And the way to do that is to get the ear of our legislators to let them know when some of these bills come up, how they're beneficial, how they're hurtful, and to educate them on that. And I think I'll kind of play off of what you said about being at the table. I'm always being told that if you're not sitting at the table, then you're on the menu. And we don't want to be on the menu
So,
because we want to help our customers and clients. So advocacy is a huge part of what happens at NAR. They have a group of lobbyists. We have somebody named Shannon McGann, which is our head of our affairs there, that meet with legislators federally to talk to them about um, bills that may affect the entire country that they're talking about with the different bills that are coming out and about. It's not just about lobbying, it's about making sure that the legislators understand why something is good for our business or why something's bad for our business. And we know that legislators are talking to nurses and teachers and everybody, and they can't be professional on everything. They need people to make them understand. So, in order to do that, we have to get in front of them. And the way to get in front of them is by starting relationships with them, with our federal political coordinators. Those are people who work directly for our legislators in Connecticut, and they're the conduit between Connecticut and what happens at NAR. So they can explain to them why something is good or why something is bad.
and so that's at a national level. I know you have a lot of experience with CTR and their advocacy. What does this look like on a state level for us?
Well, it kind of drips down from the top down. It's very similar. CTR also has lobbyists. Jim Heckman is our government affairs director, and he has relationships with lobbyists with other groups up at Hartford. And when we first hear about a bill, we'll send Jim out, and Jim will be like, "Let me find out if this has legs. Let me find out if this has partisan or bipartisan support. Let me see where we really think this is going to go." Because one of the things that we don't want is we don't want our members to get upset about bills that may affect them in a negative way if we know that those bills are never going to go anywhere. And then we have meetings with our legislative committee saying, how do we feel about this? Do we want to oppose it? Do we want to support it? Do we want to monitor it and see where it goes? Do we want to change it? Sometimes we write legislation to change it. But that's where it starts. And then we see, where does it go and what's happening? And I think the most important thing is to support the things we support and to find ways to oppose the things that we don't.
Absolutely. And what would you say have been some of the biggest wins, like either through putting something through or preventing something from happening that's happened in the past few years that would really resonate with our members?
Well, one thing that comes up every year is additional taxes. Taxes on your property, taxes on houses over $3 million, which I know doesn't really hit Eastern Connecticut that much. But um, taxes. They're always looking for more money, and they always look to real estate for more taxes. I mean, I was involved when they first put taxes on real estate, and then they said it was gonna sunset. Now it's permanent. So that's there permanently, but every year there's other taxes that come up on private property rights, and those are things that we always fight. Also, the word "as of right" comes up a lot in the state legislature, which is once they pass a law, you don't have to run it by your local government or your zoning or anything like that to do it, because they've already told you you can do it as a right, so you don't have to get permission. So anytime we see anything like that, we always oppose that.
And I think the taxes are really important because that's really affecting people's ability to stay in their homes at this point because they can't afford it.
Something's coming up really quickly that all realtors can join in on and go to help us with advocacy, and that's the Realtor Legislative Meetings in Washington, D.C. Now, I've been going to them for close to 20 years, and I know that last year, I think, was your first year that you ever went. So I think it would be important to tell people, how did you feel when you got there, and how was your overall first impression when you got there?
It was empowering in so many ways. We as realtors, we're constantly educating ourselves and we're going to conferences and we're learning about our industry. But going to this particular event really was eye-opening. We're talking about tax policies and we're talking about economic policies and we're talking about what we can do to make a difference beyond the scope of what we do just to help our individual clients on a day-to-day basis. And not only is it stuff that we can apply to helping people in real estate, but it's stuff that we can take back and apply to our lives. I think it's made me better with conversations with people when they ask me about the economics of real estate or they ask about things that are going on in the country. I know a lot of times people are asking about, changes in capital gains. And I was able to speak to those points with so much more certainty. And then there's the whole component where we got to go and actually speak to our legislators and have them hear our voices and share the stories about how our clients have been impacted by some of the policies that are in place or some of the policies that we're hoping that they support, so that we don't see people struggling in the way that they're struggling right now in the market.
And you're going again, right? Yeah, and for everybody, if you still wanna bandwagon, it's free to attend. All you have to do is find a place to stay when you get there and to get there, and I think that most of us would invite anybody to come. I'm not, maybe I'm speaking the wrong way, but, we'll find a place for you to stay if you wanna come at the last minute. And as somebody who has gone for many years, the one thing I really enjoy every year is it seems like once I meet people there, they're always there the next year, and then the person who came the first time like you did, and I think our other leadership team, Dan Cantino, Rose Eben, they've gone recently for the first time, and now they're continuing to go and seeing the value of going. So, um, like I said, it's a less expensive convention than a lot of them, and it is advocacy focused. But when you see the same people every year, and then there's a new friend, and then next year they're still there again, and they're bringing new friends, I think that's what I see the most empowering about it is once you get the bug, it's there.
And the things about networking at that particular conference is that you're hearing how people are overcoming things in their individual communities that we might be able to take back into our, towns and cities and, try to solve some of the problems we have on a local level too.
Right, especially if they're fighting something that we've been successful at or the other way around. And I know that when we're looking at things at the state level, we'll contact other states and go, we know you did this. We know you did that. How did you fight that? What did you do? What was your outcome? If you want to register to go, you can just go to nar.realtor. But when you go, you just go to news and events. And when you click on news and events, it will take you to, you'll see legislative meetings, and you just click on it.
And one of the things that we are constantly trying to bring awareness to is RPAC. RPAC is the Realtors Political Action Committee, and it is something that helps drive the forces behind what the advocacy that NAR does. Could you tell us a little bit more about the importance of RPAC?
Yeah, so RPAC is, we want to get in front of legislators federally, nationally, locally, and way to do that is to support them in their campaigns, support them in their reelections, support them with an independent expenditure, which is something that you'll learn some other day. But to get that money, that gets us in front of the legislators. That gets us to be able to speak to them about different things that are happening. And it's bipartisan. We are the purple party. We are not red. We are not blue. And I think year after year, when we go to the NXT, which is the annual meeting, which is in November, they always tell us what the percentages of Republican and Democrat, and it's always right around 50%. Sometimes it's 49, 51, but totally bipartisan. NAR does on the issues, not on the person. If they're what we call a realtor champion, if they champion priorities for realtors, those are the people that we want to support. And that money helps us get in front of them, helps them to get reelected, and helps us to build a relationship with them. So when something comes up that's going to affect us or our clients and customers, that we have a direct line to them so we can speak to them. The RPAC fair share nationally is $15, and our committee spends a lot of time making RPAC phone calls. And I really wish that we could find a way to get all of our members to understand that we understand if finances are a problem, but everybody, every single person should be able to pay $15 to protect your business. And RPAC is like having an insurance policy on your business because that's if we lose our independent contractor status, if we can't get health insurance, these are all things that we fight for with that money. And $15 is 2 cups of coffee, even though I don't drink coffee. I think that's how much it is. So, think of something you spend $15 on, and instead of spending it on that, spend it on our pack because it really is the best $15 you can spend in your business.
And you can, through that, you can contribute to this massive effort without having to be involved in the day to day.
Yes, and someday you can even be a major investor. Amanda and I are both major investors, and those are people who give $1,000, a minimum of $1,000 every year, become a major investor. So $15 doesn't really sound like much when you're talking about. I think right now there's 31 people in ECAR that have given $1,000. Don't go on their coattails. Join us.
To wrap things up, just want to leave everybody with kind of like the one thing that really matters to us, the one thing that we want you to know. For me, I would have to say that is that your voice does matter. And, individually, we can only do so much. Together, we can do pretty much anything. And collectively, through the amplification of our individual voices, through the NAR advocacy platform, we can really make a difference in everything that happens. And on a local level, your individual voice matters a whole lot. We're in our communities. We know everybody there. We can have a huge impact in what happens on a municipal level. So I encourage you to get involved. And please join us for our legislative meetings locally coming up in September. Keep an eye out. How about you, Carol?
Yeah, and I think the other thing is we have over 1,100 members at ECAR, and you may have relationships with legislators and political figures that we don't even know. So we would love it if you would come to us and let us know. I know Heather Summers, I know whoever. And that would be a great way for you to get involved, but you also can be helping us because everybody's voice does matter, as you said. And if you hear something or you know something that might be of importance, bring it to our advocacy committee because we would love to hear that. And one thing we've started with our advocacy committee is inviting local legislators, people that are running for office or are currently in office, to come and talk with us in a small group about what's affecting real estate in our state. So that'd be another thing if you're interested in to join our committee. So I'm Carol Christiansen. Thank you so much for joining our ECAR podcast on advocacy today. And
I'm Amanda Girouard, and I hope that you will join us at our next advocacy committee meeting.